Winner's Circle, the podcast for all Averitt associates no matter where you are or what you do. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast app of choice so you can be sure not to miss out on new episodes. And now, LTL Operations Leader and host of the Winner's Circle, Amos Rogan.
Hey, welcome everybody to a new edition of the Winner's Circle podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, we enjoy putting these things together for you. We hope that you are getting a little bit of something out of it as far as learning something, and hopefully you're being challenged and encouraged to take that step forward in your own personal walk, in your career with Averitt through these podcasts, and realizing so much potential out there for our company, for growth, and for personal growth through promoting from within and some other areas as well. So today, I wanted to introduce one of the newer business units that we have within our overall Averitt company umbrella, and that is Averitt Integrated. And Integrated is a broad brush of different services that have been put together in order to kind of create that full scope power of one type of service that we can offer to our customers. So today, to talk about Averitt Integrated is our Vice President of Averitt Integrated, Mr. Steve McDonald. Steve, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I want to kind of start out at the beginning and being able to kind of figure out, number one, how our integrated service started, but really why as well. You know, understanding that, you know, we may have found an issue where we didn't have a great solution, so we always go back to the drawing board. Tell us how Averitt Integrated started.
It really came about just because of market demand. In other words, what the industry needed. Think back, I started the company in 1996, and there was a need for expedited truckload at that time. We did not have that offering, so we began that in 1998. And as we began the offering, it actually started with we put just a bell on the wall, just with our area managers, so that we could work when a call came in. First one to grab it could actually work and sell the service to our customers, and just work to provide that continuous tracking on a shipment that moved. It took off. It grew so fast that it very fastly grew into its own division. And they saw the need. They said, we need to make sure that we're offering expedited LTL.
Yeah.
So that's when it evolved out into a business unit of its own, where we were doing a lot more LTL and truckload. Continued to grow from there. Then it rolled into our brokerage. That came on. Then Mexico, where Mexico continued to evolve within our truckload footprint, it turned into the international offering. But all in all, it really is just because we didn't want to tell our customers no.
Right.
We wanted to make sure that we could provide a solution to everything they presented. And the more we grew with our non-asset offering, it allowed us to provide solutions to the customers.
And I think that you hit on a real key point in that we found a limitation within our product offering. We couldn't do something ourselves on a red truck. So what did we do? We went out and we found good partners. Maybe we found a shipment that was an expedited shipment that was going to Des Moines, Iowa. Well, at the time we didn't go to Des Moines, Iowa. So, you know, but we didn't want to tell the customer no either. So we found somebody who did that. Obviously, we want to partner with people who exemplify service, good quality, good customer service, transparency, all those types of things. But the best way to do that is to convey the Averitt culture and how we do things internally to our partners to be able to extend that mentality and that service experience out further than what we can reach ourselves. How do you all, through the vetting process, which I know y'all have a very thorough vetting process in order to bring a partner on to do business with Averitt Integrated and Averitt Express as a whole, how do you all go through that to make sure that that culture is communicated clearly to our partners?
Yeah, we're very strict on our guidelines that for us to work with a partner carrier. And if you look at other companies, other 3PLs, they may work with over 100,000 partner carriers. We didn't want to just be any 3PL broker. We want to make sure that we're protecting the Averitt brand and doing things the right way. So we're very cautious on the carriers that we work with. Currently, we work with about 7,000, but it's vetted to the standards that we've outlined. In other words, to make sure It's more than it's the insurance requirements, but they've got to have workers' comp. They've also got to have service. In other words, just when we onboard a carrier, if they're not providing service, then they go to the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
And they will not be an active carrier for the floor to utilize. But our compliance team does a great job monitoring those. We've got a lot of sophisticated software that anytime we have a lapse in insurance on one of our partner providers, it pulls them from the floor so they can't use them to tender another load to them. So that protects the company very well. And then we monitor service on a regular basis.
Talking about monitoring service, some of the things that you all do can encapsulate what happens internally on a red truck, within LTL as an example. Right. Some of our LTL expedited business never sees another partner. It just, we handle it ourselves. And we've been getting very high marks for a very long time, Quest for Quality awards, and things of that nature. Customers recognizing us for high level of service with our expedited product. But now we've even taken it to a new height when rolling out Guaranteed by Noon. And that's something that you and your team has been involved with in coordination with LTL, sales and operations, to really get that off the ground.
Yeah, and it's all about just making it easy for the customer. That offering, it's become available, so it's going to streamline it for the customer just to make an easy transition. I think that's the market today. The easier we can make it for the customer, the better of a service offering it's going to be to present.
So, Steve, obviously, Averitt Integrated is the umbrella that multiple services are under. Why don't you tell us all the services that are under Averitt Integrated so people kind of understand a little bit more about what encompasses that business unit?
Sure. North America Truckload is one of our main service offerings. That's the brokerage arm. We also have combined cross-border operations with that just for the full truckload offering throughout North America. We also have intermodal. We have expedited, international, enterprise TMS, and then we also have a resource management team that makes sure that we're compliant on everything we're doing throughout. But the biggest thing, all the business units within Integrated, they're made possible just because of our red assets. I like to tell everybody we're more of a value add to the red team because we're going to always work to utilize red assets. If it's a gap and it's not an offering that they have, and we need to go to a partner, then we'll work on a blend. But our asset teams do all the heavy lifting, and we work to blend the services together when there's other needs.
Steve, obviously this is a business unit that has been growing for quite some time. But what are the opportunities and maybe the lowest hanging fruit of those opportunities? What is it that is the easiest to achieve right now as far as growth goes for Averitt Integrated?
Really, I think the focus would be we need more opportunities. So anything, it's not, I don't even want to target it at one specific thing because our biggest fear is not having the opportunity presented because that's where our team excels. They can put a blended option together to provide the customer a solution. It's just our biggest fear is there opportunities out there that we're turning down. We want to make sure that we have an opportunity to look at it and utilize Red and some of our partners just to provide a solution.
So in other words, what you're saying is that if a customer presents us an opportunity for a piece of business and they're requiring a driver to do something that our drivers may not be able to do by themselves, or maybe a red truck, we don't go to that particular area of the country because that's not within our direct footprint in relation to LTL. We should not say no until we check with Averitt Integrated, right?
That's correct. And it stretches out. And any opportunity that comes in, because you think back to our expedited team, we've actually sold offering a service where we do a hand carry something on a plane. I mean, that's not your norm, but it was something that was presented and we provided a solution.
To talk a little bit about you particularly, you said that you started in 1996. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your story, your promoting from within, And a lot of your leadership inside of Integrated has seen some of those same successes as far as being promoted from within as well. Just tell us about your Averitt story.
Okay. Started the company in February of 1996. This February will be 29 years. I started as night dispatch in our truckload team. Right out of school, I really didn't know what direction I wanted to go. And Monty Amos was a friend of the family, so I reached out to him and said, hey, do you have any openings there? I was local boy, so I knew Averitt well. I knew they were a great company. But got a position on starting with night dispatch in the truckload team. Continued to grow. Shortly after, I transitioned to a daytime position with doing our drop-in swap for Averitt Truckload. Of course, at that time, it was not branded as Truckload. It was Averitt Dedicated.
Right.
And then it continued to evolve as our Dedicated came on, and then they rebranded to Truckload. But following the drop-in swap, I evolved in and transitioned into an area manager position, then grew into a region manager position. And then first 20 years of my career is in truckload operations, and then transitioned into the non-asset side, where I became an operations manager for the integrated team. Shortly after, then a director, and then grew into a vice president.
Obviously, transitioning from the asset side of things, which we're used to that. That's what 90 some odd % of what Averitt is the asset side. We're managing trucks, drivers, hours, miles, visibility and transparency to our customers based off of the fact that we have the trucks, we have the people. Now you're on the non-asset side. You're dealing with partners that are trying to feed us that information. What are some of the challenges that you all were facing starting this out, first and foremost? But what have you and your team, utilizing technology, have been able to overcome some of that so we can bring that in better?
I think one of the biggest challenges is finding the right truck for the shipment. In other words, we utilize a lot of resources to identify where our partners are and make sure that we've got the right partner vetted and signed on. But we're working on load boards to consistently throughout the day try to find the right match. And it's something that our carrier sales team has to pull a trigger on pretty fast. They get an offering, and we definitely don't want to go back to one of our customers and say we weren't able to find a solution. So that's where we've got to be ready to negotiate with partners and just make sure that we've got a broad reach throughout the network.
So recognizing limitations, finding solutions, and providing service to the customers, that's absolutely what this company was been doing for 53 years and what you guys do every day. So thank you, Steve, for coming and joining us. And, to me, it's a really cool side of the business that a lot of people don't see or understand, because when they see Averitt Integrated, they're like, well, what is that? What is integrated? Does that mean that LTL and truckload are working together? Well, yeah, but it also could be LTL and a partner could be working together as well to provide a solution to the customer. And you all are the ones that just kind of glue it all together for us and for that customer. So thanks for joining us today and talking about Averitt Integrated, and we appreciate you being on the podcast, Steve.
Thank you.
So folks, as you can kind of see, some of the things that we do are out of necessity. It's out of because we have recognized a limitation within our service, and in order to provide a solution to our customers, we figure it out and we pull in the resources needed and necessary for us to be able to provide those solutions. Because as one of our retired ambassador member executives used to say, when we look at the customer, the answer is yes. Now, what's the question? So that's the way that we handle things when it comes to providing the best possible service and the best possible solution at the most competitive price that we can to our customers. But I want to extend that out a little bit further. What are your limitations? What are some of the things that you've recognized that you need to get better at? And do you attack those? Do you have a plan to overcome those limitations? Or do you argue with people who see more in you than what you see yourself, and you don't really maximize your potential? So look at those types of things. Look at what your limitations are and how you are addressing them, just like what we do as a team. Because as we get better, as we recognize those solutions and those limitations and surpass them, we get better. And when you get better, the rest of the team gets better as well. And that's how we stay in the winner's circle. So thanks for watching. Be blessed, be safe, and we'll talk to you next time.